Hello YouTube, it's Rom from Ramen Noodles TCG, and today is Valentine's Day. A very sad and lonely day for most of us, and I wanted to do a Valentine's Day special like I did last year. Last year I did a flu video. I had planned on doing some sort of stun deck this year, but the current format is very hostile to stun. Ryzeal and Malice cook stun completely, between freaking Myriologic Aggregator negating all your floodgates, to Heart's Cryptor, banishing everything, to none of the decks being weak to evenly matched. Has anybody resolved in the evenly matched recently? The card just doesn't do anything, to the top decks. I was thinking about all sorts of stun variants. Horus Stun, my personal favorite, has always been kind of bad. Runic Stun is in the worst state it's ever been in. All Runic decks are kind of dead because of Ryzeal and Malice. Detonator being not once per chain, just being able to pop Fountain is terrible for Runic, and the non-targeting banishment from Malice is very difficult to deal with. And Classic Stun, or Dogmatica Stun, as I like to call it, is dead because of Floodgates not being good enough. So I had to turn back the clock to find a stun deck to play in a retro format. Now, I was considering Ninja from Hat Format. That is probably the best stun deck in that format, unless you consider Brujin Stun, but I don't. But I didn't want to play Ninja. I've always been curious about Secret Village of the Spellcasters in retro formats like Edison, because a lot of these floodgates, like Secret Village, Anti-Spell, Goes In, Rivalry, those cards are very old, but they've only been good in modern formats. So I wanted to try breaking Secret Village in Edison, and this is the brew I came up with. I found a list from edisonformat.com, but that list was kind of bad. So I took the concept and ran with it. So the deck I am playing today, Spellcaster Stun, revolves around this guy, Defender, the Magical Knight, and his comrades. So essentially this guy places a spell counter on himself and protects spellcasters. So you're able to set up Defender plus Secret Village, alongside just strong spellcaster guys, to protect floodgates like Royal Oppression and a very hefty back row lineup to stun out your opponent. So alongside Defender, we have his brother Breaker. Breaker is just a very strong beater with back row removal capabilities. To pair with these, we are playing 2 copies of Pitch Black Power Stone. This is kind of a cheesy card. Essentially, it refills the spell counters on your guys, and is also just an extra source of counters for Defender's protection. So, some other strong spellcasters in the format include the Gravekeepers. So I'm playing a pretty sizable Gravekeeper package of 3 Spy, the 1 Descendant, obviously, and the 1 Guard. So this deck can struggle to deal with some strong Synchro monsters. It's a stun deck, so just big guys can give you some trouble. So Guard is pretty good at dealing with extra deck monsters, which is why I like playing him. And it's just another spy target. We're pairing the Gravekeepers with Book of Moon to potentially reset their flip effects, which is a nice bit of synergy. We have Kaiku, another strong spellcaster of the format, not only being able to banish monsters from your opponent's graveyard, banishing like Treeborn Frogs and Dandelions and those kind of cards is very powerful and could potentially serve as a win condition. And Kaiku preventing your opponent from banishing their own cards is pretty good against decks like Vayu. Yeah, Kaiku is good. Lila is the other spellcaster normal summon. She's backer removal. She's okay. There's not that many good spellcasters in the format. I was considering Injection Fairy Lily. This card could potentially fit into this deck. I was trying her, but paying 2,000 for the 3,000 boost It's good, but it's very costly. Just activating her twice is half your life points right there. And if you are running out of life points to activate her, she stays at 400 and is just very weak to removal. Just like being beaten over. Don't do drugs. Say no to steroids. So for another strong spellcaster, because these guys are light and dark, we have Chaos Sorcerer. This is like probably the strongest spellcaster boss. It conflicts with some of the floodgates like Royal Oppression, but it's a very nice bomb to play. Same with Dad. Dad is not a spellcaster, but it does rely on the darks that we are playing. We have 13 darks, I believe, including Dad. So I could play a lure, but I opted not to. Our monster density is just too low to be playing a lure. And also, Secret Village. If you're locked, you could potentially lock yourself out of spells after your opponent clears your monsters, which is another reason why I didn't want to play a lure. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the monster lineup. I'm playing Cold Wave and MST for back row removal. This is far too heavy of a back row deck for me to be playing Heavy Storm, so I opted for Cold Wave instead. Yeah. For the floodgates, we have the Royal Oppressions and the Secret Villages with Necro Valley in the side, but we'll talk about that later. And we have a heavy back row lineup here with the Bottomlesses, Deep Prison, Mirror Force, Judgment, and Book of Moons. Book of Moon helps against, like, just clearing over big guys. Like, Monarchs are pretty big, unless you flip them face down. And the aforementioned Gravekeeper synergy that I talked about earlier. So the extra deck doesn't really matter. I'm just playing a bunch of filler. The Stardust Dragons are for the Starlight Raids on the side. And I was playing Super Poly in this deck. So I have the Super Poly targets in here just so I can talk about it. It was okay. I didn't draw it too often. I ended up cutting it for other back row, just because I didn't think it was that effective. We can't summon any synchros, so yeah, this is just filler. Blackwings are kind of a rough matchup for us. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about that when we get to the side. So with the side, I'm playing Cyber Dragons. So machine decks are kind of a rough matchup because the way Secret Village works, in pre-Master Rule 3, your opponent can just set a field spell, and then whatever field spell is on the field, including your own, just dies. So if your opponent just sets a field spell, it beats the Secret Village. So Gear Town just kind of cooks this, so we need Cyber Dragon to help our machine matchup. Jaugen the Spiritualist. So, shout out to the one guy who I was talking to, one of my opponents actually. I won't be showing his replay because I kind of punted that game, but he was very helpful in helping me build this. He asked me to main Jaugen. I didn't think Jaugen was all that good to main, but I definitely did try it, and I just didn't think it was worth it. So Jaugen is broken in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But in these older formats, it just kind of wastes your opponent's battle phase, and that's just not good enough. But it is an important side deck card for certain matchups. So I'm siding this in against Trogs mostly, but you can also put it in against like the plant deck, like quick draw stuff. It was out to Judgment Dragon against Lightsworn, and that kind of stuff. Good against zombies as well. It's just a solid side deck card that you put in. You can protect him with Defender, which is really nice, but it's not like a catch-all, as it probably may seem to Yu-Gi-Oh! Players with a more modern perspective. So Necro Valley pairs with the Gravekeepers. Necro Valley is not as good as modern Necro Valley. This is I believe the Turbo Pack Rare printing of Necro Valley, the rare from, I think, Turbo Pack 3. I'll put a correction on screen if I end up being wrong about that. But it prevents cards from being banished. Oh, sorry. I'll put the errata up on screen. This is not the correct text. So Treeborn Frog still works under Necro Valley. a lot of things to work on our Necro Valley, but it's just good for the Gravekeepers, and it does stop Vayu, which is important. Royal Oppression does not stop Vayu, because Vayu is not once per turn, and does not banish your cost, so you need Necro Valley to stop that. So yeah, that's why we're playing it. Also just Gravekeeper synergy. Solidarity boosts your guys. This is important for matchups like Blackwing. The Frog player that I was talking to also recommended I main the Solidarities. I thought that my guys were just big enough that I didn't need to main it, because Solidarity is inherently a -1 in card advantage, just because it's like a, it's the reason Equip Spells never saw any play. It doesn't give you any value by itself. But we do need it to win matchups like Blackwings and Gladiator Beasts. And it's just a very good card for stun decks in general, but especially this kind of stun deck with Spellcasters. You'd side out the dad for this, obviously. Pulling the rug. This was originally Royal Tribute, not Royal Tribute, Mask of Restrict, but I wasn't drawing Mask of Restrict, and it was like kind of just cloggy. I thought pulling the rug would be a little more flexible. And I do need these because Monarchs are a really big pain for this deck. Like Caius Banish, Secret Village, Punch over the Spellcaster, just kind of game ends you. So yeah, we need all the help we can get in that regard. Starlight Road is for Blackwings and Glads, and also Lightsworn, like JD nukes and stuff. Yeah, I think this is pretty important. The list I found was main decking this. I didn't want to main it, but maybe we could. It was also playing Trap Stun, which I didn't like that much. Yeah, maybe I could main these, but I wanted to side them just to have a more robust back row lineup. Torrential and Dust Shoot I am siding. So Torrential is usually a main deck card for most decks, but because we're playing Stun, we want our guys to stick. Defender doesn't work super well with multiple Spellcasters being destroyed because it has to remove exactly as many spell counters as Spellcasters. So, like, if you get Black Rose, for example, and you have multiple Spellcasters on your field, and you only have one counter, you can't use the effective Defender. It has to remove exactly the number of Spellcasters destroyed. And Dust Shoot is just, like, an auto-win card. So, yeah, that's the deck. We can get into some replays now. We have a really quick replay against the plant deck. We have Secret Village versus a hand of 5 spells. Our opponent just concedes. So you'll get a lot of those. Yeah, I mean, it's stun. That's kind of just how the gameplay loop of this deck goes. We bottom the breaker, and then this guy can't really do a whole lot. Like, we get hit with Mirror Force, but then we flip Summon Spy, and that's literally it. Yeah, a lot of games are very non-interactive, but we do get some interesting games. Let's take a look at this game versus Gladiator Beast. So this deck isn't all that good. Like, my win rate is about 50% with it, which is pretty bad, to be honest. But we do get some interesting games. So I try to Lila a Waboku, get hit with Geysaris, and that's just basically it. Yeah, we're basically on the back foot for the rest of this game now. We have trouble outing some of these guys. So we get to Kaiku. Our opponent goes for Bestiaria again, versus a hand of Battle Traps. Even if we set the Book of Moon, it doesn't stop him from fusing. So, yeah, we are getting cooked. Yeah, my opponent asks what I'm playing. I tell him that this is a Valentine's Day special. You go for the dad, because we have 3 darks. Targeting the Laquari with Prio. Getting hit with Book of Moon. Unfortunately, our opponent does have another normal summon, which does end up beating out our dad. And that should be the end of the game. Trap Stun into Bottomless, and yeah, we cannot beat this. So we scoop it up, go first. In game 2, we draw an insane hand here. We establish the Secret Village lock set to back row. And our opponent has to struggle to out it. We go Bottomless, the Laquari, then we just keep going. Our opponent has Compulse for some reason. I guess he didn't have anything else for this matchup. Get to just chill here. Yeah, our opponent has Rediari. Waboku. We have Royal Oppression for the Rediari, and our opponent scoops it up. setting some back row. This is a phenomenal hand from the opponent, but we have Cold Wave to beat out the Laquari, which is pretty good. Getting rid of the one Laquari makes it so that our opponent's hand doesn't have that many strong beaters, but, you know, he just gets another Laquari. So we try to play into some back row here. Just set some guys. We have Oppression for the Gyzaris, thankfully. So now we go for Defender. We attack. We get hit with Deep Prison, so no point getting Secret Village here because we can't lock our opponent under it. We just have to sit here. We have Deep Prison for the Quest. Judgment is a good draw, but not enough. Our opponent's just trying to chip us down here, so he goes for the Quest anyway, playing into Oppression, just trying to get us low enough to get the kill. Thankfully, we draw Defender, so we have Defender, Secret Village, Solidarity. And our opponent just keeps setting monsters here. Not really a whole lot he can do. Yeah, now we can just keep applying pressure, and this guy concedes. Because we just have too much stuff. There's too much pressure here. And yeah. Here we have a replay against, I believe, Frogs. Yeah, it's against Frogs. The guy doesn't have a very good hand. So he has to very much take it slow. We can just start getting the beats in. The guy tries to draw a Monarch. Threatening Roar. Just keep applying pressure. As we do. Yeah, try not to play into Gores, because I don't have to. Mirror Force here. So I should have removed both counters for the Defender, instead of just going for one, because that's not legal. I didn't realize that that's how this card worked at the time. But I don't think it matters too much. Yeah, we get Kaiku in. Our opponent finally drops the Battle Fader. Goes for Heavy Storm, and now Gale. Gale on the Defender. I mean, this Defender should be gone, but it doesn't matter that much. Goes for Cataster. We go for Secret Village. And our opponent quits. So, yeah, not too much interactive gameplay. I do have a game against Blackwings. I'll just pull that up really quickly. And this will be a loss I show, because I'm not just like gonna cherry pick wins here. It's this one. So yeah, our opponent opens the nuts. Goes for Shuro Whirlwind, set Dushoot. Yeah, this is not great for us. We're kind of in a bit of a jam here. Go for Defender, set 2. Goes for Whirlwind. Yikes, we get our guy taken by Brain Control. I am scared of him making a Synchro, so yeah, I bottomless the Black Rose. Yeah, this is kind of a yikes. And then we get hit by Kalut, so yeah, this is pretty rough. Yeah, our hand is a lot better this time. Maybe we should have set the Mirror Force, but I wanted to stop something like that from happening. Our opponent sets 3. We just punch over with Kaiku. Go for Breaker. A bold Breaker setting, sniping the Icarus attack. Our opponent snipes the Mirror Force, which is terrifying. We get hit with Heavy Storm. Breaker here is terrifying. I thought the guy would have gone for Stardust here. That might have been correct, because now we might be able to win this because of Solidarity. Even after taking the piercing damage here, we're still alive. So we're still in this game, surprisingly. So we draw Kaiku off the top. This is incredible. We get to get rid of the Shura here. I forget to use Kaiku for some reason, but it doesn't end up mattering. Wait, what? Wait, would that have been lethal? I'm trying to think. No, it would not have been lethal. That would have just crashed, so it wouldn't have been enough, but it probably should have done that anyway. So yeah, I go for Kaiku now. Setting back row. Raiko and Black Wings is kind of strange. And we just Black Whirlwind here. Now we have the Oppression. With just 100 life points left, we're able to clutch it out. So in game 3, our opponent opens kind of good again. Dust Shoot plus Shura is pretty good. Takes Delilah. Alright, setting some back row here. We go Book of Moon here. I don't want to get Black Rosed, so I kind of have to go for Book of Moon. I go for Spy into Descendant, popping Shura. Descendant, punch over Gale. Dust Tornado on the Dimensional Prism. The Blizzard into Goyo Guardian, and now I can see things starting to slip away from me here. I go for Defender, punch over the Descendant. I'm able to protect with Defender, so I'm like feeling okay, and then we get MST'd, and then my opponent goes for Sirocco. And I can feel the game slowly slipping from my fingers here. Yeah, my opponent makes Stardust and Dark End Dragon, and I see the writing on the wall. But yeah, that was a surprisingly close match for how cracked my opponent's opens were. So yeah, that's pretty much it for all the replays that I wanted to show. This deck is aggressively okay. Yeah, it's just fine. It's not particularly fun. It's kind of miserable to play, actually. But in the spirit of being bitter on Valentine's Day, if I can't have fun, neither can you. Hopefully you viewers at home watching enjoyed this deck and want to try it out for yourselves. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.